Hey everyone, Vincenzo Calla here. Welcome to episode 13 of Let's Discuss Politics. Today I'm glad to be joined by the Liberal MPP for Ottawa Vanier, Lucille Collard. And if you've been following my channel recently, Lucille Collard is the fourth Ottawa area MPP to be joining me. We're halfway there. Lucille was first elected in February 2020 in a by-election. In 1999, Lucille pursued a public service career as a lawyer with the NAFTA Secretariat, Administrative and Regulatory Law with the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission, and public law with the federal court. She also led the opening of Trille des Bois, a francophone public school, and later went on to be a school trustee for the Conseil des écoles publiques de l'Est de l'Ontario. Lucille currently serves as the Liberal critic for Women's Issues, Attorney General, Solicitor General, Community and Social Services, and Environment, Conservation, and Parks. Thank you, Lucille, for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me, Vincenzo. It's a pleasure.
It's great to have you here. And like I said, I'm trying to get all the Ottawa area MPPs on, and you're my fourth. So 4 down, 4 to go.
So good luck with it.
Thanks. Our first segment that we'll be going into is called Lucille's Story, where we'll talk about Lucille's political history. So the first question is, when did you first get involved in politics?
Well, realistically, it was not, pure politics. It was education. So you mentioned the school Trille des Bois. Trille des Bois was the school where I put my kids in, and I was very interested in education. I wanted to be able to influence the decisions that were going to be made. So I joined the school council, and that's really how it all began, by my interest in education and getting a closer look at how the decisions were being made.
Well, that's for sure a super important part of that does play into politics. I mean, we've seen, especially accelerated over the past couple of years, how much education plays into provincial politics and how important the decisions of a government plays a role in the education sector in Ontario. And it's just so important that there are people that had the experience like yourself who had the experience of on the ground in the schools and then now are in the legislature sort of sharing your experiences with the government, and if you ever form government, sharing with your colleagues in government. So let's go into the second question, which is, why did you decide to run for the position that you hold, which was the MPP for Ottawa Vanier?
Right. So, as you mentioned, education is an area where the province plays a big role. And, after being at the school council, I became a trustee. Because when I was at the school council, I found myself before the school board and the trustees quite a few times to try to bring their attention to some of the issues that were happening at school. So I was being very vocal. And when the municipal election came around, they actually asked me to run as a trustee. I guess they were tired of having me in front of them, and they wanted to have me join them, So this is really, how it started municipally. And as, people might not know, the municipal election is where you elect the mayor, your municipal councilors, but also your school trustee. And from there, then being a school trustee, I became the vice chair of the school board and then the chair. And, when the opportunity arose for the provincial MPP and the important link with education, I thought would be a great opportunity for me to try to make even a bigger difference and go at the core of where the decisions are being made about our education system. And that's one of the big motivation that got me to run at the provincial level.
Well, it's just so interesting. I mean, education, like I said, I'm not going to go too much more deep into it, but it's just something every child in Ontario goes to school. Obviously, they go to school, and it just plays a role in the whole developmental part of the growing up of and the raising of our society, really. So having that background in education and then taking action slowly but surely from just talking to the trustees to being a trustee to now going into being an MPP to be on the ground in Toronto to sort of talk about it and try to give your 2 cents into it.
Absolutely. Like you said, education is where everything starts. So very important.
Exactly. So we're going to go into our second segment, which is called Serving as an Elected Official, where we'll talk about your experiences and achievements as an elected official. So the first question is, what is your favorite part about serving your community of Ottawa Vanier as an elected official?
Well, it's really about getting more involved in the community. That's what I liked about being a trustee initially, and then a chair is really getting into the community and listening to people, understanding that everybody has a different reality. So listening and understanding the issue, I find it's really motivating. It's really rewarding, and it's bringing the voice after that of these people at Queen's Park, which is what I do as an MPP. So this is probably, the contact with people and being in the community and being involved is probably the most rewarding and the most motivating things that I do every day.
Well, that's a part of being an MPP. I mean, you were voted in last year. It's hard to believe it's been almost 2 years now. I'm sure it's been hard for you to believe since the past couple of years have been so accelerated and you haven't really had as many at least now you're having the opportunity to sort of go out in the community, meet with people. But luckily the election was right before the lockdown, so you got to get in. And it's just so important that you, as an MPP or as MPs or as trustees or councillors or whoever is elected, to be on the ground of the community, because those are the people who voted for you and those are the people that you're serving
You're
every
right.
day.
Absolutely.
So the second question is, what is your favorite achievement so far as an elected official?
Right. So as you mentioned, it hasn't been a very, very long time. But, one of the reasons also that I've become a politician is to fight for the rights of those that are a minority. And Franco-Ontarians in Ontario are a minority, as you know, but they're very important. They're, the foundations of our province, and they've always had to fight for their rights to keep their institutions alive, like the hospital, the Montfort hospitals. And I also have four children that grew up in a, Francophone family. And, I was a bit worried when they were younger because, they didn't really speak English when they were young. Well, of course, they caught on and learned English, but fighting for francophone rights has always been something. It's been something for me when I was younger. It's been something for my kids, and so I was very proud of bringing emotion at Queens Park, and got unanimous consent. So every MPP agreed that my motion be voted in favor of so that we could have the Franco-Ontarian flag float in the assembly on a permanent basis, just as the other flags. And you've got the Franco-Ontarian flags right there, the green and white, very important symbol. It is a symbolic action, but at the same time, it goes a long way just to remind everybody in the assembly who are making the decisions, they only have to look up to see the Franco-Ontarian flag, and to make sure, and whenever they make policy decisions, that they have to think about those people as well.
Well, for sure. I mean, Ontario, where we have Ottawa and Ontario, we're both in Ottawa, capital of Canada, bilingual country, English and French. And it's just so important, especially in Ontario, where there's so many people that speak both English and French. And we're such a big public service province, basically, that the people that are Franco-Ontarian who are recognized. I mean, in grade 5, we learned a lot about it. And it was the first time I had learned about, we went to your riding, we went to the Museo Park at the Centre Richelieu. We learned about that. It was just so interesting. And it's a good outlook to see that these people are just everybody who are Franco-Ontarian, they just make so many contributions to the province. And it's just so important to recognize those efforts.
Absolutely.
For sure. So we're going to go into the last segment, which is called Politics Are All Around Us, where we'll talk about the world of politics around us. So the first question is, who is or who was another politician that inspires you?
Yeah, that's always a trick question, just to pick one person.
You can pick a couple if you want.
Well, I'm not going to stick with names because really, and especially lately, what I look up to, what really impresses me is women running in politics. I guess being a woman myself, I do realize the kind of challenges that it represents. And I've seen, we've seen women, great, had a great success. And, I said, I'm not going to name name, but Kim Campbell was the first woman, prime minister. And, there are others, like Kathleen Wynne, and, we've got some around us. But for me, generally, just having women, take the step to run, to get that confidence that they need, to build that thick skin that they need also, because it's a reality, just to see what they bring to the table, like a different perspective, a different way of negotiating and and considering people when making policy. I think it's a richness, and I think it's great to see that we're seeing more women. So yeah, it's something that I think is very important, that I look forward to working with more women as well.
Well, it's great to see, especially federally, we see that the cabinet, a couple of the biggest positions, finance, national defense, foreign affairs, those are all held by women now. And it's just so important to see the different outlooks, really, that haven't been entirely heard for the major part of our history in Canada and Ontario. And it's good to see so many women from so many different parties starting to step up and starting to make their voices heard, and across party lines working. I know it's difficult sometimes to work across party lines, but just seeing so many different women step up and running is just a good change in our political scene, and more voices coming up it's never a bad thing.
Totally agree.
Never a bad thing. So we're going to go into the second question, which is, what do you think is an issue that needs to be focused on more?
Well, I don't want to sound redundant, but, education is, again, a big focus that, we need to pay attention to. We need to invest in education. As I said, that's where everything starts, the bad, like the good. And we want the good to be there. We want to make sure that the students, our children, are equipped with the best tools to, be prepared to, get into the real life and contribute to society in a meaningful way with a critical mind as well. So, we've got so much that we can improve on. We need to bring authentic experience in the classroom, because it's very important that kids identify to, people who have gone through the experience themselves. So it's not just teaching subject matters, it's really talking about real life experience. And, education contributes to all levels of society. That's where we get our doctors, our nurses, our, environmentalists, it affects everything. So I really think that, this is building the future of tomorrow. So it's building their society of tomorrow. So that's why I think it's very important that we invest more, that we keep students motivated to continue to live their passion, to really, not be afraid of doing what they like to do, because that's how we build a better world.
Well, yeah, education. I'm glad that we're talking a lot about education, because I always have different people come on and everybody sort of speaks about their main thing. And education is just something that's so important. I want to be a teacher when I grow up. Well, I'm getting there. I'm going to university and I want to be a teacher. So it's just so important that education is a big part, and that education gets the focus it deserves on all levels, in especially in the provincial level, just getting the attention and help that it deserves.
It's wonderful that you're thinking of becoming a teacher, as we need teachers. We need many teachers with passion, and you certainly sound like you're very interested and interesting. So
yeah, I've wanted to be a teacher for as long as I can remember since kindergarten. That's always built up, and I just want to do what's best and just help other people and help children learn. So that's all for today. Thanks, Lucille, for joining me. If you liked today's interview, make sure to check out my other interview with Lucille on Instagram for Top 5 and 5. If you're watching this at the time of the premiere, it'll be coming out on Friday. So to stay updated, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at VC Productions 25. Check out my website at vincenzocalla.com and make sure to like, subscribe, and choose to get notifications here on YouTube. Let's Discuss Politics is a VCalla production. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.